Hi everyone, my name's Josh. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about all the different spray tips we have available and how to pick the right one for you. So we're going to be talking about the Graco Brackets range, and that means you're going to be using this blue Brackets guard, and that can be used with any of these Brackets tips. So you've got the blue PAAs, the green FFLPs, the green LPs and the brown HDAs. So this is by far our most popular range, so we're going to run through what you would use each of these for. So first of all, we've got the blue PAAs, which are the professional airless applicator. So this is a bit like an all-rounder, which is suitable for residential, commercial and industrial sites, usually for interior and exterior wall painting. Next, we've got the green FFLP spray tips. These are the fine finish low pressure tips, so that means they're obviously meant for fine finish. They've been designed for doing sort of woodwork, cabinetry, stair spindles, skirting boards, that sort of thing. So the smaller jobs where you need lots of control. This is what Graco call a smart spray tip. So that means it atomizes paint at a lower pressure. So say for example you needed 2000 psi to atomize the paint you're using with your PAA tip. You might get away with something around 1500 psi with the FFLP. So that means you've got less paint wastage, less wear and tear on the pump and the spray tip, and less overspray. The FFLP tips are able to do this because they have what's called a pre-atomizing disc in them, which forces the paint through a small hole just before it gets to the tip to break the paint up into smaller particles, and therefore it doesn't require as much pressure to atomize the paint to the same level. Something you'll also notice is the FFLP tips use even numbers rather than odd numbers. So this one, for example, is a 514. That's nothing to worry about, it's just something to look out for, and you would select your tip in the same way as you would any other. Okay, so this leads us nicely onto the green LP tips. LP stands for low pressure, and they're sort of like a cross between the blue PAAs and the green FFLPs. They've got the same smart technology that the FFLPs have, so they're forcing it through a pre-atomizing disc, but they are meant for larger projects like the PAAs. So I'd be using an LP for sort of interior paint jobs and residential projects. But that being said, they aren't quite as fast as the PAAs, but being a smart tip, you do have all the advantages you get with the FFLPs. So onto the brown HDAs. So these are the heavy duty applicators. They're like a larger version of the blue PAAs. You're going to be using these for larger interior and exterior paint jobs with high production and for spray and plaster. These are available in much larger sizes, and that's required for sort of textured paints and plasters. So now we've covered all the common types of spray tips, let's talk about sizing. We get asked all the time, what should I be using for this type of job? What should I be using for that type of job? What tip size do I need? And there are sort of common sizes that everyone uses, but that is normally, I think it's just a number to certain people. So for this job, I use a 310 because it just works. I'm hoping what I'll be able to show you is you'll be able to say, okay, for that job I did use a 310, but I'd like a little bit more paint and I want it over a slightly wider fan pattern. So maybe next time I'll go for a 412. So hopefully we're going to give you a little bit more information so you can tailor the tip sizes to your spraying style and your individual jobs. So let's say you want a tip for fine finish work. So the FFLP is the obvious choice. The next thing we need to do is work out the size. So the first number is the degree of the fan pattern. So if the first number is a 1, we have a 10 degree tip. If it's a 2, it's 20 degree, 3, 30 degree, and so on. But the degree of the tip isn't the easiest way of actually visualizing what you're going to get on your wall. So there is a quick rule of thumb of how to work it out easily. So if you take your first number, double it, that will give you the rough size of the fan pattern you're going to get on the wall in inches from 10 to 12 inches away. So for example, if we have a 412 spray tip, we take the first number, so that's 4 in this case. So from 10 to 12 inches away with a 412, we're going to have a spray pattern of around 8 inches. If this is too wide, you could go for something like a 312, which is going to give you like a 6-inch pattern. So I hope that makes sense. So now we have to work out the next two numbers. Let's take a 412 again as our example. So we know that the 4 means we're going to get an 8-inch pattern on the wall. So the next part is the 12. And this refers to the size of the hole through the center of the spray tip in 1/1000 of an inch. So in this case, we've got a hole that is 12 1/1000 of an inch. So if we want more paint to flow on the same area, we could go for a 414, so we're just raising that number, and vice versa, if we wanted less paint, we could go for a 410, so just bringing it back again. You do have to be careful doing this because there is actually a common mistake. Say you've got a 614 spray tip and you think this is way too wide a spray pattern for what I want to be doing. I want a 2-inch wide spray pattern, so I'll go for a 114. So that means you've now gone from a 12-inch wide pattern to a 2-inch wide, but the 14 has stayed the same. So what we're going to have is the same amount of paint coming out through the spray tip, but spread over a sixth of the area. So you're going to have to move 6 times faster, which of course is near on impossible. So what we need to do is sort of something like an 08 or a 10 to reduce the amount of paint coming out so we can get it back to a manageable level. The second number is normally decided by the paint manufacturer's data sheet. So that would suggest, for example, with this product you use 11 to 15 thou spray tip. So that gives you an idea of where you need to be. Something you also need to take into account is filtering, and this does change with each of the tips. What I would normally go for is, if I'm using 14 thou and below, I would go for a 100 mesh filter. 14 thou and above, go for a 60 mesh, and with some really thick materials, I would go for a 30 mesh, or in some cases no filter at all. So you'll notice that with each spray tip you get a new tip seal. You do have to be careful with these because they aren't all exactly the same. The ones that come with the FFLP tips have a slightly smaller hole through the centre of them, so you do need to make sure you're using the right seal for each tip. You'll also notice that they each come with a yellow plastic seal, which can be used instead of the black rubber one. So that's just simply for the harsher solvent-based products that could eat through the rubber. That being said, I can't say I've ever had an issue with the rubber seals. I hope this helps with your tip choices, and I'll put the links in the description below for all the tips we've spoken about. So if you want to find out any more information, you can. If you do have any questions, as usual, just drop them down in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, if there's anything you'd particularly like to see or anything I've missed out, please let me know that as well. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.